The wrong number that led me home. When a divorced teacher's missent text lands on the phone of a lonely CEO, an unexpected connection sparks a journey of healing, hope, and second chances. But can one message change everything? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. Nia Thompson stared at the peeling paint on the ceiling of her new apartment. At 40, she never imagined she'd be starting over in a tiny third-floor walk-up with creaky floors and a temperamental radiator. But after a painful divorce and 2 years of scraping her life back together, this place, as humble as it was, belonged to her alone. "Mom, what do you think?" Lila called from the kitchen. At 16, her daughter had become her rock through the divorce, though Nia worried about how much Lila had grown up in the past 2 years. Nia walked into the small kitchen, where Lila stood proudly, her hands and t-shirt splattered with yellow paint. "It's perfect," Nia said, admiring the sunny walls. "Makes it feel like home already. Even if it's a shoebox compared to our old house," Lila said, a hint of bitterness in her voice. "Hey." Nia squeezed her daughter's shoulder. "It's not the size that matters. It's that it's ours. No more walking on eggshells, no more pretending." Lila's expression softened. "I know. I like it too, Mom. I really do." After pizza on the floor, their dining table would arrive tomorrow, and helping Lila set up her bedroom, Nia sat exhausted on an unopened moving box. The apartment was quiet except for the distant sound of Lila's music behind her closed door. Nia pulled out her phone to text her best friend, Claire, who had promised to come by once Nia was settled. "Made it. New address, 203 West Hill Street, App 3B, dinner for 2. You bring wine?" she typed, then hit send before realizing she'd dialed Claire's number from memory. Miles away, in a sleek penthouse overlooking the city skyline, Ethan Rourke's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, expecting another work email demanding his attention even at this late hour. Instead, he found a text message from an unknown number. At 47, Ethan had built Rourke Investments into one of the most respected private investment firms in the city. He'd turned his grandfather's modest savings into an empire, working 16-hour days for years. But success had come at a price. His marriage had ended 5 years ago, and most of his friendships had faded away, leaving him surrounded by people who wanted something from him. He stared at the unexpected message, reading it twice. "Wrong number," he muttered to himself, about to delete it when something stopped him. The simple domesticity of the text, "dinner for 2, bringing wine," seemed so foreign to his world of catered meals eaten alone while reviewing spreadsheets. After a moment's hesitation, he typed back, "I'm not your friend, but if you'll accept flowers and takeout, I know a place that does magic with butter chicken." He hit send before he could question why he was responding to a wrong number instead of just ignoring it like any normal person would. Nia was about to go to bed when her phone chimed. Expecting Claire's reply, she was startled to see an unfamiliar number and an even more surprising message. "What the?" she whispered, reading the text again. Her finger hovered over the block button. It was probably just some creep. She should delete it and forget about it. But something in the wording didn't feel threatening. It felt kind, gentle even. She put the phone down without responding and went to brush her teeth, telling herself to forget about it. The next morning, as Nia hurried to get ready for her first day back teaching 4th grade at Lincoln Elementary, she noticed another text from the same number, sent late last night. "If it makes you feel safer, I'll leave the food at the door. No strings, just congratulations. Starting over deserves celebration." How did he know she was starting over? Had she mentioned that in her text? Nia felt a flutter of unease, but also a strange curiosity. She showed the messages to Lila over breakfast. "Block him immediately," Lila said, her eyes wide. "It's serial killer 101, Mom." "I don't think serial killers usually offer butter chicken," Nia joked, though she understood her daughter's concern. "Mom, seriously," Lila insisted. "It's creepy that he's offering to come to our new address when we don't even know who he is." "You're right," Nia agreed. "It's just, I don't know, it seemed nice." "Nice is how they get you," Lila said darkly, sounding far older than her 16 years. "Dad was nice too, remember?" Nia winced. Her ex-husband Richard had indeed been charming at first, before the controlling behavior, the jealousy, and finally, the affair with his 25-year-old assistant that ended their marriage. "Point taken," Nia said, reaching for her phone to block the number. But as the day progressed, teaching her new class of fourth graders and setting up her classroom, Nia kept thinking about the text. There had been something disarming about it. Not pushy or flirtatious, just a small kindness offered with no expectations. By the time she got home, she'd decided to ignore it and move on. She and Lila were making mac and cheese when the doorbell rang at exactly 7 p.m. "I'll get it," Lila said, heading for the door. "Wait," Nia called, suddenly remembering the text. "Let me check first." She peered through the peephole but saw no one. Cautiously, she opened the door a crack and looked down. There on the welcome mat sat a bag of fragrant food and a bouquet of cheerful yellow tulips. No note, no person waiting. Just as promised, food left at the door, no strings attached. "Oh. My God," Lila said, peering around her mother. "Creepy text guy actually showed up?" "Apparently," Nia said, bringing the items inside and closing the door quickly. They inspected the bag, which contained containers of butter chicken, rice, naan, bread and samosas from Taj Palace, an expensive Indian restaurant across town. "It could be poisoned," Lila suggested, though her eyes kept drifting to the samosas. "I doubt it," Nia said, opening a container and inhaling the rich aroma. That's a lot of effort for a random wrong number. Eventually, hunger won out over caution, and they abandoned their half-cooked mac and cheese for the delicious Indian food. Nia arranged the tulips in a mason jar, the only vase she could find among the unpacked boxes. "Okay, I admit it's good," Lila said between bites of butter chicken. "But it's still weird, Mom." "Definitely weird," Nia agreed, "but also kind of nice." The next morning, after much deliberation, Nia sent a text to the mystery number. "You forgot the wine." Across town, Ethan was in the middle of a board meeting when his phone vibrated. He normally never checked personal messages during meetings, but something made him glance down. A smile spread across his face before he could stop it. "Something amusing about the quarterly projections, Ethan?" asked Margaret Wells, his company's CFO. "No, sorry," Ethan said, composing his features. "Please continue." But for the rest of the meeting, his mind kept drifting to the unexpected reply. She had answered. Why that made him so irrationally happy, he couldn't say. That evening, Nia and Lila returned home to find a bottle of red wine and a bag from a local burger place sitting outside their door. "Seriously," Lila said, looking up and down the empty hallway. "Who is this guy?" Inside the bag was a note scrawled on a napkin. "Not sure what you like. Hope burgers are okay. The wine is a Cabernet. Good with beef. Enjoy your evening." "He's got good taste," Nia admitted, examining the bottle. It was nothing extravagant, but a solid mid-range wine she would have chosen herself. "How does he know when we're not home?" Lila asked suspiciously. "Is he watching our apartment?" The thought sent a chill down Nia's spine. She hadn't considered that. "I'll ask him," she said, pulling out her phone. "How do you know when to deliver food?" she texted. The reply came almost immediately. "I don't. I've been lucky with timing. I own Rourke Investments downtown. I had it delivered both times. The delivery service texted when they left it at your door. I'm not stalking you, I promise." Nia looked up Rourke Investments online and was surprised to find it was a legitimate and well-respected firm. Their website featured a photo of Ethan Rourke, a tall man with salt and pepper hair, serious eyes, and a reserved smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "He's real," she told Lila, showing her the website, "and apparently rich." "Great, so he's a rich potential stalker," Lila retorted, though she studied the photo with interest. "Doesn't look like a serial killer, I guess." "Thanks for the food." "And wine," Nia texted later after they'd eaten. "But you don't have to keep doing this." "I know," came the reply. "Would you prefer I stop?" Nia stared at her phone. Would she? The whole situation was bizarre, but there was something intriguing about these anonymous acts of kindness. "No," she typed finally, "but I'd like to know why you're doing it." There was a long pause before his response arrived. "Your text came through when I was having a particularly lonely evening. The idea of dinner with a friend, even if it was meant for someone else, made me smile. I guess I wanted to pass that feeling along. No agenda, Just connection. Nia read the message 3 times, feeling something shift inside her. After 2 years of protecting herself and Lila, of being strong and guarded, the simple honesty in those words touched her. "I'm Nia," she texted back. "The dinner invitation was for my best friend Claire. I just moved in after a divorce." "Ethan," came the reply. "Divorced 5 years ago, living alone in a place too big and too quiet. Nice to meet you, Nia." After that night, the texts became a daily occurrence. Ethan never pushed to meet in person, or asked for anything in return. They just talked. About simple things at first, favorite foods, movies, books. Then deeper topics as the days passed. "My ex-husband made me feel invisible," Nia confided one night. "Like I was just a prop in his life. The teacher wife who raised his daughter and kept his house while he built his law career and slept with his assistant." "Mine made me feel like an ATM," Ethan replied. "She married the ambitious guy from a working-class background and got upset when that same ambition kept me at the office late. By the time I realized what mattered, she'd moved on with someone who made less money but had more time." Nia found herself looking forward to their conversations, the highlight of her day after teaching and helping Lila with homework. She learned that Ethan had been raised by his grandfather after his parents died in a car accident, that his younger brother had passed away from cancer 10 years ago, and that despite his success, he ate cereal for dinner more often than not. "My grandfather ran a diner," he texted one night. "He taught me that feeding people is a form of love. That's why I keep sending food, I guess. It's the one way I know how to show care." Nia told him about her dream of publishing children's books, sharing story ideas she'd been working on for years, but had been too afraid to submit anywhere. The food deliveries continued, sometimes fancy, sometimes simple comfort food, always with a small note or a flower, never with any pressure or expectations. Lila remained suspicious at first, but as weeks passed, she grew curious about the man who kept their fridge full and her mother smiling more than she had in years. "So when are you going to actually meet? This food fairy?" she asked one evening as they unpacked Thai food that had arrived precisely as Nia mentioned she was craving it. "I don't know," Nia admitted. "It's complicated." "Because you're scared?" Lila asked, her perceptiveness cutting straight to the truth. "Maybe," Nia said. "Or maybe because this is nice just how it is. No pressure, no disappointment." "But what? If it could be better?" Lila challenged. "What if he's actually decent, unlike Dad?" "That's a big what if," Nia said softly. That night she stared at her phone, considering Lila's words. After nearly a month of daily texts and surprise meals, Ethan had become important to her in a way she hadn't expected. But the thought of meeting in person, of potentially ruining this unusual connection they'd formed, terrified her. "We should meet," she finally typed, then deleted it. "Would you want to delete again?" "I'm afraid to delete." As she struggled with what to say, a new message from Ethan appeared. "I have tickets to the Art Museum's new exhibit on Saturday. No pressure at all, but if you wanted to meet in a public place, I'll be there at 2 p.m. Blue jacket, probably looking terrified. If not, I completely understand and nothing changes." Nia's heart raced as she read the message. After a month of gentle conversations and thoughtful gestures, was she ready to take this step? Before she could reply, another text came through. "Either way, I've ordered pizza for you and Lila. Should arrive in about 10 minutes. Pepperoni and mushroom, if I remembered correctly." Nia smiled, her anxiety easing slightly. That was the thing. About Ethan, he always gave her space to choose, never pushed, never demanded. "How did you know we were just talking about what to have for dinner?" she texted back, avoiding the museum invitation for now. "Lucky guess," he replied. "Or maybe we're developing some kind of telepathic connection through all this texting." The pizza arrived exactly when he said it would. Pepperoni and mushroom, her and Lila's favorite. As they ate, Nia finally showed Lila the museum invitation. "You have to go," Lila said immediately. "I mean, in a public place, daytime, lots of people around. It's perfect. And if he's weird in person, you never have to see him again." "What if it's awkward?" Nia worried. "What if we have nothing to say to each other face to face?" "Mom," Lila said with the exasperated patience of a teenager. "You've been talking to this guy every day for a month. I think you'll manage a conversation." That night, after Lila went to bed, Naya finally replied to Ethan's invitation. "I'll be there. Yellow scarf, probably looking equally terrified." His response came seconds later. "You just made my day." Nia placed her phone on the nightstand and turned off the light. She felt a mix of excitement and fear. After 2 years of focusing solely on rebuilding her life and caring for Lila, she was taking a step into the unknown. She glanced at the vase of fresh tulips on her bedside table, delivered just that morning, and smiled in the darkness. Whatever happened on Saturday, Ethan Rourke had already brought unexpected warmth into her life with one missent text message. Sometimes the wrong number turned out to be exactly the right one. Saturday arrived with a mix of sunshine and clouds, much like Nia's mood as she stood in front of her closet, trying to decide what to wear to meet Ethan. After pulling out and rejecting half her wardrobe, she settled on a simple blue dress that Claire always said brought out her eyes. "You look pretty, Mom," Lila said from the doorway, watching Nia apply a light touch of makeup. "Thanks, sweetie." Nia's hands trembled slightly as she put on mascara. "I feel ridiculous. I'm 40 years old getting nervous for what isn't even really a date." "It's definitely a date," Lila smirked. "And it's normal to be nervous. You haven't been out with anyone since Dad." That was true. After the divorce, Nia had thrown herself into rebuilding their lives, finding a new job at Lincoln Elementary, saving for this apartment, being there for Lila. Dating hadn't even made it onto her priority list. "Remember," Lila continued, sounding more like the parent than the child, "if he's weird or creepy, just text me the code word homework and I'll call with a fake emergency." Nia laughed. "When did you get so grown up?" "When Dad decided to act like a child," Lila said flatly. The truth of that statement hung in the air between them. Richard's affair and subsequent abandonment had forced them both to grow in ways they hadn't expected. "I should cancel," Nia said suddenly, her anxiety spiking. "This is crazy. I don't even know this man." "Mom," Lila's voice was firm, "you've been talking to him every day for a month. You know him better than you knew most of your friends at your old job, and you're meeting in a public place. What's the worst that could happen?" "He could be nothing like what I've imagined," Nia admitted softly. "Or he could take one look at me and be disappointed." "Then he'd be an idiot," Lila said, with the fierce loyalty that made Nia's heart swell. "And if that happens, we'll order pizza, watch bad movies, and forget all about him. But it won't happen." "How can you be so sure?" "Because nobody sends that many thoughtful food deliveries to someone they're not genuinely interested in," Lila reasoned. "That's a lot of effort for a guy who just wants to get lucky." "Lila!" Nia exclaimed, though she couldn't help laughing. "I'm 16, Mom. I know how the world works," Lila said with an eye roll. As Nia finished getting ready, she thought about all she had learned about Ethan through their text conversations. How he'd been raised by his grandfather after losing his parents. How he worked too much because work was easier than facing his empty penthouse. How he sent food because his grandfather had taught him it was a way to show love. She tied the yellow scarf around her neck, the one she'd promised to wear so he could recognize her, and took a deep breath. "Okay, I'm going," she announced, grabbing her purse. "Claire is coming over to hang out with you just so you're not alone." "I don't need a babysitter," Lila protested. "She's not coming as your babysitter. She's coming as my best friend, who wants all the details the second I get home," Nia explained, "and to keep you company." "Fine," Lila conceded, "but tell her to bring good snacks this time. Her idea of a treat last time was carrot sticks." "Will do," Nia promised, giving her daughter a quick hug. "Wish me luck." "You don't need luck," Lila said confidently. "But text me if you need rescuing." The art museum was busier than Nia expected for a Saturday afternoon. She arrived 10 minutes early, her nerves making her both punctual and slightly nauseous. Finding a bench near the entrance, she sat down to wait, scanning the crowd for a man in a blue jacket. At exactly 2:00 p.m., she spotted him walking through the main doors. Even from a distance, she recognized him from the photo on his company website. Tall, broad-shouldered, with that distinguished salt and pepper hair. But in person, Ethan Rourke seemed less imposing than his corporate headshot suggested. He moved with a slight hesitation, and as he glanced around the lobby, she saw the nervousness in his eyes. He was just as anxious as she was. Somehow, that realization calmed her own nerves. She stood up, the yellow scarf bright against her blue dress. When his eyes landed on her, she saw recognition flash across his face, followed by something that looked like relief. Ethan walked toward her, his stride becoming more confident with each step. Up close, she noticed the fine lines around his eyes that hadn't shown in his photo, and the warmth in his smile that transformed his serious face. "Nia?" he asked, his voice deeper than she'd imagined. "Ethan," she confirmed, suddenly feeling shy despite their weeks of constant communication. There was an awkward moment where neither seemed to know whether to shake hands, hug, or simply stand there looking at each other. "I brought these for you," he said, pulling a small bouquet of yellow tulips from behind his back, the same flowers he'd sent with his first food delivery. "I know it's cliché to bring flowers, but they reminded me of how this all started." "They're perfect," Nia said, taking the bouquet and feeling a flutter in her chest at the thoughtfulness of the gesture. "Though I'm running out of vases in my apartment." "I'll have to be more creative with future gifts then," he said, then quickly added, "If you want there to be future gifts, that is." His uncertainty was endearing, so different from Richard's constant confidence and control. "Shall we?" Nia gestured toward the museum entrance, saving him from his momentary awkwardness. As they walked through the exhibit, a collection of contemporary American paintings, Nia was surprised by how easily their text conversations translated to real-life interaction. Ethan was thoughtful and attentive, asking questions about her impressions of the artwork and listening intently to her answers. "So you really do own an investment firm," she said, as they paused in front of a large, abstract canvas. "I half expected to discover you were making that up," he laughed. "Would it have been more or less creepy if I'd made it up?" "Definitely more," Nia admitted. "The fact that you have a legitimate job and company made me slightly less worried that you were an axe murderer. Only slightly less worried." Ethan raised an eyebrow, amusement dancing in his eyes. "Well, for all I knew, you could have been a very successful axe murderer with a good cover story," she teased. "I promise my only crime is responding to a wrong number text," he said. "Though my assistant Barbara did suggest I was having some kind of midlife crisis when I asked her to arrange all those food deliveries." "What did you tell her?" Nia asked curiously. "The truth," Ethan shrugged. "That a wrong number made me smile. For the first time in months, and I wanted to pay it forward. She thinks I'm either crazy or romantic, possibly both." As they continued through the museum, Nia found herself studying Ethan when he wasn't looking. In his casual clothes, jeans, a button-down shirt, and the promised blue jacket, he looked nothing like the stern CEO from his company photo. He seemed more real, more accessible. "Tell me about your daughter," Ethan said as they sat down for coffee in the museum cafe. "Lila, right? You've mentioned she's been your rock through everything." "She has," Nia nodded, warming to the subject of her daughter. "She's 16 going on 30, wise beyond her years but still a teenager in so many ways. She loves art and music, gets straight A's without seeming to try, and has been suspicious of you from day one." "Smart girl," Ethan chuckled. "I'd be suspicious too if some stranger started sending food to my mom." "She's the one who convinced me to come today, actually," Nia admitted. "She said anyone who puts that much effort into food deliveries deserves at least one face-to-face meeting." "I owe her a thank you then," Ethan said softly. "And I hope I live up to her expectations." "Well, she made me promise to text if I needed rescuing, so the jury's still out," Nia teased. "Fair enough," Ethan laughed. "My brother would have done the same if he was still alive. He was always my voice of reason." "You mentioned he passed away," Nia said gently. "I'm sorry." Ethan's expression grew somber. 10 years ago, cancer. He was always the better of us, kinder, more balanced. After my divorce, he was the one who kept me from becoming a complete workaholic. After he died, I didn't have anyone left to pull me back from that edge. "Is that why you work so much?" Nia asked. "To fill the space?" "Partly," Ethan nodded. And partly because I built this company from nothing. My grandfather left me $5,000 when he died. That was my seed money. So I feel responsible for it, for the people who work for me. I understand responsibility, Nia said. After Richard left, I had to be everything for Lila. Mother, father, provider, emotional support. There were days I wanted to fall apart, but I couldn't. She needed me to be strong. It sounds like you were, Ethan said with admiration. Are, he corrected himself, are strong. Their coffee extended to an early dinner at a small Italian restaurant near the museum. The conversation flowed easily, moving from childhood memories to favorite books to future dreams. By the time Ethan walked Nia to her car, the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the parking lot. I had a wonderful time, Nia said honestly, turning to face him beside her car. So did I, Ethan replied. Better than I've had in... I can't remember how long. There was another moment of awkwardness as they stood there, neither quite sure how to end the day. Would it be okay if I texted you later? Ethan asked, his hands in his pockets, looking almost boyish in his uncertainty. I'd be disappointed if you didn't, Nia admitted with a smile. And maybe we could do this again, perhaps with Lila next time. I'd like to meet her if that's okay. The suggestion surprised Nia. Richard had always treated Lila as an afterthought, someone to be managed rather than included. The fact that Ethan wanted to meet her daughter spoke volumes. I think she'd like that, Nia said. Though be prepared for an interrogation. She's very protective. As she should be, Ethan nodded seriously. I'll come armed with her favorite food as a peace offering. Nia laughed. Food as a negotiation tactic? It's worked pretty well so far, he grinned. Before Nia could respond, her phone buzzed with a text. She glanced down to see a message from Claire. Did he murder you yet, or is it going well? Everything okay? Ethan asked. Just my best friend checking that I'm still alive, Nia explained, showing him the text. Ethan chuckled. Tell her I promise. I'm not an axe murderer, or any kind of murderer for that matter. I'll let her know, Nia smiled, typing a quick reply. When she looked up, Ethan was watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. What? She asked self-consciously. Nothing. It's just... He hesitated. When you smile, it reaches your eyes. Not everyone's does. It's nice. The simple observation touched her more deeply than an elaborate compliment would have. Thank you for today, she said softly. For the museum, for dinner, for... She gestured. Vaguely, all the texts and food and flowers. Thank you for giving me a chance, he replied. For responding to my weird text and not immediately blocking me. Impulsively, Nia leaned forward and kissed his cheek. Good night, Ethan. His eyes widened slightly in surprise, then crinkled at the corners as he smiled. Good night, Nia. As she drove home, Nia couldn't stop smiling. For the first time since her divorce, she felt a flutter of something like hope in her chest. Ethan was nothing like she'd expected, and everything she hadn't realized she wanted. Thoughtful, kind, a good listener, and refreshingly honest about his own flaws and struggles. The apartment was loud with laughter when she arrived home. She found Claire and Lila in the kitchen, making cookies and dancing to music blaring from Lila's portable speaker. Mom's home, Lila announced, turning down the music. Did he turn out to be a creep? Should we call the police? Actually, Nia said, hanging her purse on the hook by the door. He was really nice. That's it? Really nice? Claire demanded, abandoning the cookie dough to scrutinize Nia's face. You're blushing. There's more to this story. We went to the museum, had coffee, then dinner, Nia summarized, trying to sound casual. We talked, that's it. Did he kiss you? Lila asked bluntly. Lila! Nia exclaimed, her blush deepening. No, he didn't, and that's none of your business. But you wanted him to, Claire observed with the insight of a lifelong friend. Before Nia could respond, her phone chimed with a text. All three of them froze, then Claire and Lila dove for the phone on the counter. Give me that, Nia protested, but it was too late. Lila had already unlocked it with the passcode she wasn't supposed to know. Just wanted to say again what a wonderful time I had today, Lila read aloud. Getting to finally meet you in person was worth the wait. Sleep well, Nia. She looked up at her mother with wide eyes. Mom, he's so into you. Let me see that, Claire demanded, grabbing the phone. After reading the message, she nodded approvingly. Thoughtful, not pushy, no weird innuendos. I'm cautiously optimistic. Can I have my phone back now? Nia asked, extending her hand. Are you going to reply? Lila wanted to know. Yes, in private, Nia said firmly, taking her phone back. Later that night, after Claire had gone home and Lila had gone to bed, Nia curled up on her small couch with a cup of tea and typed, I had a wonderful time too. Thank you for making our first meeting so easy and comfortable. And yes, I'd love to do it again, maybe dinner at our place next time. Lila is curious to meet you. His reply came almost instantly. I'd be honored. Name the day. I'll bring dessert. Nia smiled, a warm feeling spreading through her chest. For a wrong number, Ethan Rourke was turning out to be very right. The following week passed in a blur of texting, teaching, and trying not to count the days until Friday, when Ethan would come for dinner at their apartment. Lila, to Nia's surprise, took an active interest in the meal planning, suggesting they make lasagna, because it's impressive but not trying too hard. On Wednesday, a delivery arrived. Not food this time, but a package containing a beautiful blue ceramic vase. For the flowers, the note read, since you mentioned running out of vases. On Thursday evening, as Nia graded papers at the kitchen table, her phone rang. It wasn't a text from Ethan, but a call from a number she recognized instantly, Richard. Her ex-husband. What does he want? She muttered, hesitating before answering. She hadn't spoken to Richard in months, not since he'd missed Lila's birthday. Hello, she answered cautiously. Nia. Hi. Richard's smooth, confident voice brought back a flood of unpleasant memories. How are you? Fine, she said flatly. Did you need something? Can't a man call to check on his family? He asked, the familiar charm evident in his voice. We're not your family anymore, Richard, Nia reminded him. Not since you decided your assistant was more important. There was a pause. That's actually why I'm calling. Brittany and I said it didn't work out. Nia felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. She knew what was coming next. I've been doing a lot of thinking, Richard continued. About us, about what I threw away. Lila's still my daughter. You're still the mother of my child. Maybe we should talk about giving our family another chance. Are you serious right now? Nia asked, anger rising in her chest. You walk out on us 2 years ago, barely bother to see your daughter, and now you think you can just walk back in because your girlfriend dumped you? She didn't dump me, Richard said defensively. It was mutual, and I've changed, Nia. I realized what matters. Family matters. You and Lila matter. We mattered 2 years ago too, Nia said bitterly. But that didn't stop you from leaving. The answer is no, Richard. No to talking, no to trying again, no to everything. If you want to be a better father to Lila, that's between you and her. But you and I are done. You're being hasty, Richard said, his charm giving way to the controlling tone she remembered all too well. At least give me a chance to explain in person. I could come over tomorrow. No, Nia interrupted firmly. Not tomorrow, not ever. I have plans tomorrow anyway. Plans? What plans? Richard demanded, his possessiveness showing through despite their divorce. Are you seeing someone? Before Nia could answer, Lila appeared in the kitchen doorway, her expression darkening when she realized who was on the phone. Is that Dad? She asked loudly enough for Richard to hear. Tell him I'm busy tomorrow night meeting Mum's new boyfriend. Nia winced. She and Ethan hadn't defined their relationship, and boyfriend seemed premature. But the look of defiance on Lila's face made her hold her tongue. You heard her, Nia told Richard. We're both busy. Goodbye, Richard. She hung up before he could respond, then let out a long breath. You okay, Mum? Lila asked, coming to sit at the table. Yeah, Nia nodded. Just surprised. Your father wants to try again. Lila made a disgusted noise. Of course he does. His girlfriend probably got tired of his self-centered bull. Language, Nia interrupted, though she couldn't disagree with the assessment. It's not happening. Right? Lila asked, a hint of anxiety in her voice. You're not thinking about taking him back? Not even for a second, Nia assured her. That chapter of our lives is closed. Good, Lila said firmly, because Ethan seems way better than Dad ever was. Nia was touched by her daughter's endorsement of a man she hadn't even met yet. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, okay? We're just getting to know each other. Later that night, as Nia was about to go to bed, her phone chimed with a text from Ethan. Just checking we're still on for tomorrow? Need me to bring anything besides dessert? Nia hesitated, then decided to be honest. We're definitely still on. Just had a weird call from my ex-husband wanting to try again. Not going to happen, but it rattled me a bit. There was a pause before Ethan's reply came through. That's understandable. Do you want to postpone if you need space? His consideration, his willingness to step back if she needed it, confirmed what she already knew. Ethan was nothing like Richard. No postponing, she texted back firmly. Lila and I are both looking forward to tomorrow. Even more so after that. Call. Then I'll see you both at 7, came his reply. And Nia? For what it's worth, his loss is overwhelming. As Nia set her phone down and turned out the light, she couldn't help but smile. Tomorrow would be a new chapter. Not just dinner, but the beginning of something she hadn't dared hope for just a few months ago. Little did she know that Richard's sudden reappearance was about to complicate things in ways she couldn't imagine. Friday. Arrived with a flurry of activity in Nia's small apartment. She left school early to clean, while Lila insisted on making her famous garlic bread to go with the lasagna. By 6 o'clock, the apartment smelled of tomato sauce and herbs, and Nia was changing her outfit for the 3rd time. Mom, stop overthinking it, Lila called from the kitchen. The blue sweater looked fine, so did the green top. Just pick something. Easy for you to say, Nia muttered, finally settling on a simple burgundy blouse and jeans. You're not the one dating at 40. So it is dating? Lila appeared in the doorway with a knowing grin. I thought you were just getting to know each other. Nia rolled her eyes. Don't be smug, and yes, I guess it is dating, which is terrifying. Why? He seems nice. You like him. He clearly likes you. Because the last time I dated anyone, I was 22, Nia explained, applying a touch of lipstick. And that turned out to be your father who turned out to be a selfish jerk, Lila finished. But Ethan isn't Dad. That's obvious from the way he texts you, the way he remembers details about us, the way he doesn't make everything about himself. Nia looked at her daughter with a mixture of pride and sadness. At 16, Lila had already developed a clearer understanding of relationships than Nia had possessed at 25. When did you get so wise? She asked, hugging Lila impulsively. Therapy helps, Lila shrugged, hugging her back. Speaking of which, did you tell Dad no about getting back together? Like, definitely no? Absolutely, Nia confirmed. That door is permanently closed. Good, Lila nodded, because he texted me this morning asking if I'd help him talk sense into you. Nia stiffened. He what? Don't worry, I shut it down, Lila assured her. I told him I'd rather eat worms than see you with him again. Lila. What? It's true, Lila said unapologetically. Now come help me set the table. Your boyfriend will be here in less than an hour. As Nia arranged plates and silverware on their small dining table, she couldn't help worrying about Richard's sudden interest in reconciliation. His timing was suspicious. Just as she was starting to move forward with her life, he wanted to pull her backward. At precisely 7 p.m., there was a knock at the door. Nia smoothed her blouse, took a deep breath and opened it to find Ethan standing there with a bakery box in one hand and a bouquet of mixed flowers in the other. Right on time, she smiled, the sight of him instantly calming her nerves. Military. Family, he explained with a grin. Punctuality was basically a religion in our house. As he stepped inside, Nia noticed he was dressed casually in dark jeans and a grey sweater that made his eyes look even more intense than she remembered. Something smells amazing, he said, handing her the flowers. Mom and I made lasagna, Lila announced, appearing from the kitchen with an appraising look that took in Ethan from head to toe. I'm Lila. It's great to finally meet you, Ethan said, extending his hand. I'm Ethan. I brought tiramisu for dessert. Your mom mentioned you like coffee flavors. Lila's eyebrows rose in surprise as she shook his hand. She told you that? She tells me a lot about you. Ethan nodded. How you're an artist, how you got straight A's last semester, how you helped paint this apartment. Nia watched the exchange, with her heart in her throat. So much depended on this first meeting between the two most important people in her life right now. "Come in," she said, ushering Ethan further into the apartment. "Would you like a tour? It won't take long. The whole place fits in about 500 square feet. "I'd love a tour," Ethan said, looking around with genuine interest. "It's charming. So much warmer than my place." As Nia showed him around their small home, pointing out Lila's artwork on the walls and the window box garden they'd started on, the fire escape, she saw her apartment through his eyes, not as a step down from their old house, but as a cozy home they'd created together. "You've done a lot with the space," Ethan observed, noticing the clever storage solutions and the cheerful yellow walls. "It feels like a real home." "That was the goal," Nia said softly. "After the divorce, I wanted a place that was completely ours. No memories, no ghosts." "Smart," he nodded, understanding. "After my divorce, I kept the penthouse but got rid of everything in it. Couldn't stand looking at furniture she'd picked out, art we'd bought together." "What did you replace it with?" Nia asked curiously. Ethan laughed. "Not much, honestly. My place looks like a furniture showroom, all matching pieces with zero personality. Barbara says it looks like a hotel suite." "Who's Barbara?" Lila asked, joining them. "My assistant," Ethan explained. "She's worked with me for 15 years, more. Like family than an employee at this point." "Is she pretty?" Lila asked bluntly. "Lila," Nia gasped. "It's a fair question," Lila shrugged. "Dad's assistant was 25 with legs up to her neck." Ethan didn't seem offended by the question. "Barbara is 62, has 4 grandchildren, and keeps a picture of her wife of 30 years on her desk," he answered honestly. "She's beautiful in the way people who are genuinely kind are beautiful." Lila's defensive posture relaxed slightly. "Good answer," she admitted. "Dinner's ready," Nia announced, eager to move past the awkward moment. "Let's eat before it gets cold." As they settled around the small table, Nia was surprised by how natural it felt to have Ethan there. He complimented the lasagna enthusiastically, asked Lila about her art projects, and shared funny stories about his early days starting his company. "So you weren't always rich?" Lila asked, helping herself to more garlic bread. "Lila, that's not polite," Nia chided. "It's okay," Ethan assured her. "And no, far from it. My grandfather owned a small diner in Pittsburgh. When he died, he left me $5,000, his life savings. I used it to make my first investment, which eventually grew into Rourke Investments." "What was the investment?" Lila wanted to know. "A small tech company that had just developed a new type of medical imaging software," Ethan explained. "I read about it in a magazine at the library. This was before the internet was everywhere, and had a gut feeling it would be big. I took a bus to their headquarters and convinced them to let me invest." "So you got lucky," Lila observed. "Partly luck, partly research," Ethan nodded. "I'd spent months reading everything I could about emerging technologies. But yes, there was definitely luck involved." As dinner progressed, Nia watched Lila gradually lower her guard. By the time they moved on to the tiramisu, her daughter was showing Ethan sketches from her art portfolio and laughing at his jokes. "This is seriously good," Lila declared, taking another bite of the tiramisu. "Mom, you need to keep him around just for the desserts." Nia blushed, but Ethan just laughed. "I accept being valued for my ability to locate excellent pastries." After dinner, Lila surprised Nia by volunteering to clean up. "You two go talk or whatever," she said with a knowing look. "I've got this." In the small living room, Nia and Ethan sat on the couch, close enough that their knees almost touched. "She's amazing," Ethan said quietly, nodding toward the kitchen, where Lila was loading the dishwasher. "Smart, direct, protective of you. You've done an incredible job raising her." "Thank you," Nia said, touched by the genuine admiration in his voice. She hasn't always been this confident. The divorce hit her hard. She started therapy last year and it's made a huge difference. "My brother was always trying to get me to try therapy," Ethan admitted. "After he died, I probably should have, but I threw myself into work instead." "Not the healthiest coping mechanism. It's never too late," Nia said gently. "Something I'm learning," he agreed, his eyes warm as they met hers. The moment was interrupted by the sudden chime of Nia's phone. She glanced at it and felt her stomach drop. "Richard, everything okay?" Ethan asked, noticing her expression change. "It's my ex again," she sighed. "He's being persistent. Do you need to take it?" "Absolutely not," Nia said firmly, silencing the phone and setting it aside. "Whatever he wants can wait, or better yet, never happen at all." Ethan studied her face. "He really hurt you, didn't he?" "Yes," Nia admitted. "But it was more than the affair. It was years of making me feel invisible, of treating my career as a hobby, of acting like spending time with Lila was a favor instead of his responsibility as her father." "Some men shouldn't be fathers," Ethan said quietly, my own included. He was brilliant but cold, more interested in his research than his family. When he and my mom died, part of me was relieved not to have to fight for his attention anymore. Terrible thing for a 10-year-old to feel. "I'm sorry," Nia said, instinctively reaching for his hand. His fingers curled around hers, warm and solid. "My grandfather made up for it. He taught me everything important, how to be honest, how to work hard, how to make a perfect omelette." "Important life skills," Nia smiled. "Especially the omelette," Ethan agreed with a twinkle in his eye. "I'll have to make you one sometime." The implication of breakfast together hung in the air between them, both exciting and slightly terrifying. "I'd like that," Nia said softly. They were interrupted again, this time by an insistent knocking at the door. "Are you expecting someone?" Ethan asked. "No," Nia frowned, standing up. "Claire has a key and no one else knows where we live except—" A sick feeling settled in her stomach as the knocking continued, louder now. "Nia, I know you're in there," Richard's voice called through the door. "We need to talk." Lila appeared. From the kitchen, her eyes wide. "Is that Dad?" "Unfortunately," Nia confirmed, her happiness from moments ago evaporating. "Stay here, both of you." She walked to the door, anger building with each step. Opening it just enough to see out, she confronted her ex-husband. "What are you doing here, Richard?" Richard stood in the hallway looking exactly as she remembered, handsome in a polished, artificial way, his expensive suit and perfect hair designed to impress. But now she could see the coldness in his eyes that she'd once mistaken for confidence. "I needed to see you," he said, putting his foot in the door when she tried to close it. "Lila's not answering my texts and you hung up on me. This is important, Nia. Nothing you have to say is important enough to show up unannounced at my home," Nia said firmly. "How did you even get this address?" "I have my resources," Richard said dismissively. "Are you going to let me in or make me stand in the hallway like a delivery boy?" "Neither," Nia replied. "You're going to leave and we'll talk about this another time. If there's something urgent about Lila, you can call my lawyer." "This isn't about Lila," Richard said, pushing against the door. "It's about us. I've been thinking about everything. And I made a mistake, Nia. We had a good life together." "No, we didn't," Nia corrected him. "You had a good life. I was just an accessory to it." Richard's charming facade slipped, revealing the temper she knew all too well. "Is this about the new guy Lila mentioned? Some rebound relationship to make yourself feel better?" Before Nia could respond, Ethan appeared behind her. "Everything okay here?" he asked, his voice calm, but with an edge of steel beneath it. Richard's eyes narrowed as he took in Ethan's presence. "Who's this?" "I'm Ethan," he said simply, not offering his hand. "And Nia asked you to leave." "This is between me and my wife," Richard snapped. "Ex-wife," Nia corrected. "And if you don't leave now, I'm calling the police." Richard's gaze shifted between them, calculation in his eyes. "Fine," he said finally. "But this conversation isn't over, Nia. We have too much history to throw away because of one mistake." "It wasn't one mistake," Nia said wearily. "It was years of mistakes. Go home, Richard." She closed the door firmly and turned the deadbolt, then leaned against it. Suddenly, exhausted. "Are you okay?" Ethan asked gently. "I'm sorry about that," Nia sighed. "Richard has always had terrible timing." "Don't apologize," Ethan said. "You have nothing to be sorry for." Lila joined them in the entryway, her expression a mixture of anger and concern. "What did he want?" "The usual," Nia said, trying to sound casual. to make everything about him and what he wants. Jerk, Lila muttered. I should probably go, Ethan said, glancing at his watch. Give you two some space to process this. No, Lila said quickly. Don't let Dad ruin the evening. We were going to play that board game, remember? Naya looked at her daughter gratefully. She's right. Please stay, if you'd like to. There's nowhere else I'd rather be, Ethan said with a sincerity that warmed Nia's heart. The rest of the evening passed pleasantly, with the three of them playing board games at the kitchen table. Lila was ruthlessly competitive. Ethan was surprisingly strategic, and Nia found herself laughing more than she had in years. By the time they finished their third game, it was nearly 11. I should head out, Ethan said, helping to pack up the game. Some of us have work tomorrow. You work on Saturdays, Lila asked. Only until noon, Ethan admitted. Old habits die hard. Workaholic, Lila teased, but her tone was affectionate rather than judgmental. Recovering workaholic, Ethan corrected, with a smile. I've actually started taking Sundays off completely. Baby steps. Progress, Nia nodded approvingly. We'll have you sleeping in and eating cereal in your pajamas at noon before you know it. I look forward to it, Ethan said, his eyes meeting hers with a warmth that made her heart skip. At the door, Lila surprised them both by giving Ethan a quick hug. Thanks for the tiramisu. And for not being a jerk like my dad. High praise. Ethan laughed. Thank you for letting me join your dinner. Your garlic bread was exceptional. Once Lila had said goodnight and retreated to her room, Nia walked Ethan into the hallway for a more private goodbye. Despite the interruption, this was one of the best evenings I've had in a long time, Ethan said softly. Me too, Nia admitted. And I'm sorry about Richard. He has a talent for showing up at the worst possible moments. Don't worry about it, Ethan assured her. Though I can see why you divorced him, he seems challenging. Nia laughed at the diplomatic understatement. That's one word for it. Do you think he'll be a problem? Ethan asked, concern evident in his voice. Maybe for a while, Nia sighed. When Richard doesn't get what he wants, he can be persistent, but he'll move on eventually. He always does. And if he doesn't? Ethan pressed gently. Then I'll handle it, Nia said with more confidence than she felt. I've dealt with Richard for 16 years. I know his patterns. Ethan nodded, though he didn't seem entirely convinced. Just don't hesitate to ask for help if you need it, okay? I don't want to overstep, but I care about you, Nia. About both of you. The simple declaration touched her deeply. Thank you, she said softly. That means a lot. There was a moment of silence between them, filled with unspoken feelings. Then, almost hesitantly, Ethan leaned forward and kissed her. Gentle at first, then with growing confidence when she responded. When they finally broke apart, Nia was slightly breathless. I've been wondering what that would be like, she confessed. And? Ethan asked, a rare uncertainty in his eyes. Even better than I imagined, she smiled. He grinned, looking suddenly younger and more carefree. Good to know my kissing skills haven't completely atrophied from lack of use. Definitely not, Nia assured him with a laugh. I should go, he said reluctantly, but I'd like to see you again, soon, if that's okay. More than okay, Nia nodded. How? About Sunday? Ethan suggested. We could take Lila to that art exhibition she mentioned. Make a day of it. The thoughtful inclusion of her daughter, once again, made Nia's heart swell. She'd love that. So would I. With one more quick kiss, Ethan headed down the stairs, turning back at the landing to wave. Nia watched until he disappeared from view, then went back inside, her lips still tingling from his kiss. She found Lila sitting on the couch, pretending to watch TV but clearly waiting for her. So, Lila asked expectantly. So what? Nia replied, playing innocent. Mom. Lila rolled her eyes. Did he kiss you or what? That, Nia said primly, is none of your business. He totally kissed you, Lila declared triumphantly. Your face is all glowy. If you must know, yes, Nia admitted, unable to keep from smiling. And he invited us to the art exhibition on Sunday. Us? Lila repeated. He wants me to come too. Of course, Nia nodded. He specifically said he wanted to take you to see the exhibition you mentioned during dinner. He remembered. That? Lila looked surprised, then thoughtful. Dad never remembered anything I was interested in. Ethan's different, Nia said softly. Yeah, Lila agreed. I can tell. As they cleaned up the last of the game night mess, Lila asked casually, So, is he like your boyfriend now? Nia considered the question. I think maybe he is, she said finally. Is that weird for you? A little, Lila admitted. But good weird. I like seeing you happy, Mom. You deserve it after everything. So do you, Nia said, hugging her daughter. And thank you for giving him a chance. He makes it easy, Lila shrugged. Unlike Dad, who only called me today because he wanted me to convince you to take him back. As if. Nia's happiness dimmed, slightly at the mention of Richard. I'm sorry he put you in that position. Don't worry about it, Lila assured her. I told him exactly where he could stick his reconciliation ideas. Lila, Nia exclaimed, though she couldn't help laughing. What, he deserved it, Lila said unapologetically. Especially showing up like that tonight. It was so embarrassing. It was, Nia agreed. But Ethan handled it well. He did, Lila nodded. He didn't get all macho or territorial, but he didn't back down either. Respect. Nia smiled at her daughter's assessment. High praise from you. Don't let it go to your head, Lila warned with a grin. I still reserve the right to hate him if he turns out to be a jerk. Fair enough, Nia agreed. Later that night, as Nia was getting ready for bed, her phone chimed with a text from Ethan. Home safe. Thank you again for a wonderful evening. Your home is as warm and welcoming as you are. Looking forward to Sunday. Nia smiled as she typed back. Tonight was perfect. Richard's cameo appearance aside. Lila can't wait for Sunday. Neither can. She set her phone on the nightstand and climbed into bed, replaying the kiss in her mind. For the first time in years, she felt like her life was moving forward instead of just standing still. The next morning, Nia woke to the sound of someone knocking on her apartment door. Glancing at the clock, 7:30 a.m. on a Saturday, she groaned. It had to be Richard again. Pulling on her robe, she padded to the door, ready to tell him to go away. But when she looked through the peephole, she was surprised to see not Richard, but a young woman she didn't recognize. Cautiously, Nia opened the door. Can I help you? The woman was in her late 20s, expensively dressed with perfectly styled blonde hair. Are you Nia Thompson? She asked, her voice cool and professional. Yes, Nia confirmed. Who are you? My name is Vanessa Mitchell, the woman said. I'm a reporter with the Daily Chronicle. I was hoping to ask you a few questions about your relationship with Ethan Rourke. Nia blinked in confusion. Excuse me? Mr. Rourke is a prominent businessman in our city, Vanessa explained, pulling out a small recorder. His private life is of interest to our readers, especially since he's been notably single since his divorce. Sources tell us you two have begun dating. I'd love to get your perspective on the relationship. I don't think so, Nia said firmly, moving to close the door. Please leave. Vanessa quickly stuck her foot in the door, just as Richard had done the night before. It would be better to tell your side of the story, Ms. Thompson, she said with false sympathy. Otherwise, readers might get the wrong impression. When they see the photos. Photos? Nia repeated, a cold feeling washing over her. What photos? Of Mr. Rourke entering your apartment building yesterday evening and leaving quite late, Vanessa said smoothly. And of your rather intimate goodbye in the hallway. Nia felt her face drain of color. Someone had photographed their kiss. Who gave you those photos? She demanded, though she already suspected the answer. I protect my sources, Vanessa replied, but I can tell you it was someone concerned about Mr. Rourke's sudden interest in a divorced schoolteacher with no connections to his social circle. Richard. It had to be. His resources had followed him here, taken photos, and now he was using them to cause trouble. I have nothing to say to you, Nia said coldly. And if you publish any photos taken of me or my daughter without permission, I'll sue your paper for invasion of privacy. Public hallways aren't private spaces, Ms. Thompson, Vanessa pointed out. But I understand your reluctance. Here's my card if you change your mind about that interview. She slipped a business card through the crack in the door. Then finally, removed her foot. "Have a nice day," she added with a professional smile that didn't reach her eyes. Nia shut the door and leaned against it, her heart racing. What had just happened? How had her private life suddenly become fodder for gossip columns, and how was she going to tell Ethan? As if summoned by her thoughts, her phone rang. It was Ethan. "I was just about to call you," she said, answering quickly. "Nia, I'm so sorry," Ethan began, his voice tense. "I just got a call from my PR team. Apparently the Daily Chronicle is running a story about us. Some reporter has photos." "I know," Nia interrupted. "She was just here trying to get me to give an interview." "What?" Ethan sounded shocked, then angry. "She came to your home? That's completely unacceptable. I'm calling my lawyers right now." "Ethan, wait," Nia said, trying to think clearly despite her racing heart. "Before you do anything, we need to talk about this. Can you come over?" "I'll be there in 20 minutes, he promised. After hanging up, Nia sat heavily on the couch, trying to process what was happening. Her quiet life had suddenly become complicated in ways she'd never imagined. A relationship that was still so new, still finding its footing, was about to be thrust into the public eye. And somewhere, Richard was probably feeling very pleased. With himself. When Lila emerged from her bedroom, still in her pajamas and rubbing sleep from her eyes, Nia realized she had even more explaining to do. "Mom, what's going on?" I heard voices. Nia patted the couch beside her. "Sit down, honey. We need to talk. Things are about to get a little complicated." As she explained the situation to Lila, Nia wondered how their lives had changed so dramatically in just a few weeks, all because of one missent text message that had landed on the phone of a lonely CEO instead of her best friend. For better or worse, their quiet life was about to become very public indeed. By the time Ethan arrived at Nia's apartment, she and Lila had changed out of their pajamas and were sitting at the kitchen table, trying to make sense of the situation. "I can't believe Dad would do this," Lila said, anger evident in her voice. "Actually, no, I totally can believe it. This is exactly the kind of petty, controlling thing he'd do." The knock at the door made them both jump. Nia hurried to answer. Finding Ethan in the hallway looking more disheveled than she'd ever seen him. His hair was uncombed, and he wore jeans and a sweatshirt instead of his usual put-together appearance. "I came as fast as I could," he said, stepping inside. "Are you both okay?" "We're fine," Nia assured him, touched by his concern. "Just trying to figure out what this all means." Ethan's eyes moved to Lila, a worried frown crossing his face. "Lila, I'm so sorry about this. The last thing I wanted was to bring this kind of chaos into your lives." "It's not your fault," Lila said firmly. "It's my dad's. That reporter showing up here has to be him. He's the only one who knew you were here last night and would care enough to make trouble." Ethan nodded grimly as he joined them at the table. "That was my guess too." "But how did he get the photos?" "He mentioned having resources when I asked how he got our address," Nia explained. "I'm guessing he either hired someone to follow him here or called in a favor from a photographer friend. He knows people in media from his legal work." "This is unacceptable," Ethan said, his voice tight with controlled anger. "Using your daughter to try to get you back is bad enough, but dragging the press into it, invading your privacy like this." "Welcome to life with Richard Thompson," Lila said bitterly. "Everything has to be on his terms." Ethan took a deep breath, visibly trying to calm himself. "Okay, here's where we stand. The Chronicle is planning to run the story in tomorrow's edition, both print and online. My PR team tried to block it, but without proof that Richard is behind the photos, there's nothing legally preventing publication." "So they're really going to run it?" Nia asked, her stomach sinking. "What are they saying about us?" "The angle. They're pushing as reclusive CEO's mystery woman," Ethan said with distaste. "They're framing it as a rags-to-riches story, the divorced schoolteacher who captured the heart of one of the city's wealthiest bachelors." "That's revolting," Lila declared. "I agree," Ethan nodded. "It's simplistic and reductive. But here's the thing, we have options. My team has suggested several approaches." "What kind of approaches?" Nia asked cautiously. "First option, we don't acknowledge the story at all. No comment, No reaction. Sometimes these things die down if you don't feed them. And the other options, Nia prompted when he paused. Second option, we get ahead of it. My team drafts a simple statement confirming that yes, we're dating, it's new, and we appreciate privacy during this time. Very straightforward. That sounds reasonable, Nia said slowly. Third option, Ethan continued, is more aggressive. We push back hard, threaten legal action against the paper, and try to identify who sold the photos. It might work, but it also might just bring more attention to the situation. He hesitated before adding, there's also a fourth option, but I don't like it. What is it? Lila asked. We could... Ethan looked deeply uncomfortable. We could take a break. Step back from seeing each other until this blows over. It would send a message that there's no story here. The kitchen fell silent. Nia felt her heart constrict at the thought. But that's exactly what Dad wants, Lila pointed out. For you two, to stop seeing each other. I know, Ethan nodded. That's why I don't like that option, but I wanted to put everything on the table. Nia looked at him, studying his face. Despite his calm demeanor, she could see the worry in his eyes. He was genuinely concerned about how this publicity would affect her and Lila. What do you think we should do? She asked him. Honestly? I think option 2 makes the most sense, Ethan said. Acknowledge it simply, then move on. But Nia, this has to be your decision. You and Lila are the ones who didn't sign up for public scrutiny. Before Nia could respond, her phone rang. It was Claire. Hey, I was just going to call you, Nia answered. Why is there a reporter from the Daily Chronicle calling me asking about you and your new wealthy boyfriend? Claire demanded, without preamble. What's going on, Nia? Nia briefly explained the situation while Ethan and Lila waited. As she talked, another call beeped in. The principal of her school. This is getting out of control, she said after hanging up. My principal just called to discuss the situation. Apparently, the reporter contacted the school, too. They're thorough, Ethan said grimly. I'm so sorry, Nia. This is exactly what I wanted to avoid by keeping a low profile all these years. It's not your fault, Nia assured him, reaching for his hand across the table. But we need to decide what to do, and fast. I vote for option 2, Lila declared. Acknowledge it. Be boring about it and don't give them the satisfaction of hiding or breaking up. Ethan looked to Nia. What do you think? Nia took a deep breath, considering. I agree with Lila. We confirm it simply, then go about our lives. But Ethan, there's something else we need to deal with. Richard. Ethan nodded in understanding. Yes, Nia said firmly. If he's behind this, it means he's not going to just go away. He's escalating. What do you want to do about him? Ethan asked. I think I need to confront him directly, Nia decided. Make it clear that these tactics won't work. That's the only language Richard understands, direct confrontation. I'm coming with you, Lila insisted. Actually, Nia said, I think we all should go. Richard needs to see that we're united, that his games aren't going to break us apart. Ethan looked surprised but nodded. If you're sure that's what you want. I'm sure, Nia said with more confidence than she felt. Let's get this over with. An hour later, they pulled up in front of Richard's sprawling suburban house, the home Nia and Lila had once shared with him. The perfectly manicured lawn and imposing facade seemed cold and unwelcoming now, nothing like the cozy apartment they'd made their own. Ready? Ethan asked from the driver's seat of his sleek but understated car. As I'll ever be, Nia replied, taking a deep breath. The three of them walked to the front door together, Nia in the lead. She rang the bell, hearing the familiar chime echo inside. Richard answered the door himself, his surprise at seeing the three of them together quickly, masked by his usual confident smile. Nia, Lila, he greeted them, purposely ignoring Ethan. This is unexpected. We need to talk, Nia said firmly, about the reporter you sent to my apartment this morning. Richard's expression shifted subtly, a flicker of satisfaction quickly hidden. I don't know what you're talking about. Save it, Dad, Lila said coldly. Only you knew Ethan was at our place last night. Only you would care enough to try to make trouble about it. Can we come in? Nia asked, though her tone made it clear it wasn't really a question. Unless you'd prefer to have this conversation where your neighbors can hear. Richard hesitated, then stepped back, allowing them to enter. The house was immaculate as always, but Nia noticed subtle changes. Different furniture, new artwork on the walls. He had erased the traces of their life together, just as she had done in her new apartment. "This is Ethan Rourke," Nia said pointedly when they reached the living room. "The man I'm dating, the man whose privacy you violated, along with mine, and Lila's." "Pleasure," Richard said insincerely, not offering his hand. "Though I still don't know what you're talking about with this reporter business." "Cut the act, Richard," Nia snapped. "The Chronicle is running a story tomorrow with photos of Ethan at my apartment. Photos taken after you showed up unannounced last night. How did those photos get to a reporter?" Richard's facade finally slipped. "You moved on awfully quickly," he said bitterly. "What was I supposed to think when Lila mentioned a new boyfriend?" "You weren't supposed to think anything," Nia replied. "My life is no longer your concern." "You're the mother of my child," Richard insisted, glancing at Lila. "Everything you do affects our daughter." "Don't use me as an excuse," Lila said angrily. "You only care about me when it's convenient for you." "That's not true," Richard protested, but his voice lacked conviction. "Mr. Thompson," Ethan spoke for the first time, his voice calm but authoritative. "I understand you're processing a lot of emotions about your former relationship with Nia, but involving the press crosses a line that affects not just Nia, but Lila too." "Who do you think you are?" Richard demanded, turning on Ethan. "Some rich guy who thinks he can step into my family after knowing them for what? A few weeks?" "Richard," Nia interjected firmly, "Ethan is here at my invitation, and yes, we haven't known each other long, but he's shown more respect for me and Lila in a month than you did in years." "Is that what this is about?" Richard asked. "Getting back at me by dating someone successful? Trying to make me jealous?" "Not everything is about you," Nia said wearily. "That's always been your problem, Richard. You think the world revolves around you and your feelings." "I made one mistake," Richard insisted, his voice rising. "One affair that meant nothing, and you threw away 16 years of marriage." "It wasn't one mistake," Nia corrected him. "It was years of making me feel invisible, of treating me like I was just there to support your career and raise your child. The affair was just the final straw." "So you trade me in for him?" Richard gestured dismissively at Ethan. "Is it the money, the status? What does he have that I don't?" "He listens," Lila answered before Nia could. "He remembers what we like. He doesn't make everything about himself. And he makes Mom happy. Remember what that looks like, Dad? Mom happy?" Richard seemed taken aback by his daughter's words. For a moment his arrogance faltered, and Nia caught a glimpse of genuine hurt in his eyes. "I could make you happy again," he said to Nia, his voice softer, "if you'd give me another chance." "No, Richard," Nia said gently but firmly. "You couldn't. We want different things. We always did, I just didn't see it until the end." Richard was silent for a long moment, then sighed heavily. "So, what do you want from me? Why are you here?" "I want you to call off your reporter friend," Nia said. "Tell her to kill the story." "It's too late for that," Richard admitted. "The article is already set for tomorrow's edition." "Then I want your word that this stops now," Nia continued. "No more surprises, no more showing up at my apartment, no more interference in my life. You're Lila's father, and that's important. But that's all you are to me now." Richard looked from Nia to Lila to Ethan, seeming to finally realize that his tactics had backfired. Instead of driving them apart, he had pushed them closer together. "Fine," he said finally. "I'll back off. But Lila is still my daughter." "Yes, she is," Nia agreed. "And if you want to be part of her life, you need to respect her boundaries too. And mine." Richard nodded, defeated for now. "For what it's worth," he said, looking at Ethan, "the Chronicle would have found out eventually. People like you don't stay out of the spotlight for long." "Perhaps," Ethan acknowledged, "but it would have been nice if Nia and Lila could have had more time to prepare." As they turned to leave, Richard called after them. "Lila, we still on for next weekend? I got tickets to that concert you mentioned." Lila paused, then nodded stiffly. "Yes, but only if you mean what you said about backing off." "I do," Richard promised, a hint of his old charm returning. "And Nia, I am sorry about the reporter. It was a bad call." "Yes, it was," Nia agreed. "Goodbye, Richard. The ride back to Nia's apartment was quiet, each of them processing what had just happened. Finally, Lila broke the silence. "Well, that was dramatic," she said with a hint of her usual sarcasm. "Very soap opera." Despite everything, Nia laughed. "It was, wasn't it?" "Your ex has quite the flair for theatrics," Ethan observed. His hands relaxed on the steering wheel. "But I think he heard you. Both of you." "For now," Nia agreed. "With Richard, everything is temporary. But at least we've bought some peace. For a while." When they arrived back at the apartment, Ethan's phone rang. It was his PR team with an update. The Chronicle was still running the story, but they'd agreed to let Ethan provide a brief statement to include in the article. "What should it say?" he asked after explaining the situation to Nia and Lila. "Something simple," Nia suggested. "Factual, but not giving them any juicy details. How about, Ethan Rourke confirms he is dating Nia Thompson, a teacher at Lincoln Elementary. They met recently and are enjoying getting to know each other. They asked for privacy during this time," Ethan proposed. "Maybe add something about Lila," Nia suggested, "so they know she's not a secret or an afterthought." Ethan nodded. "Good point." Ethan has enjoyed spending time with both Nia and her teenage daughter Lila. "Perfect," Nia approved. "Simple, honest, and boring enough that hopefully they'll lose interest quickly." After Ethan called his team back with the approved statement, the three of them ordered pizza and tried to put the drama of the day behind them. By the time evening arrived, they had settled into a comfortable routine, Lila working on an art project at the table, Ethan helping Nia organize her teaching materials for the coming week. "Are you sure you want to go through with this?" Nia asked Ethan quietly, while Lila was focused on her drawing. "Dating a divorced schoolteacher with a teenage daughter isn't exactly going to help your corporate image." Ethan looked at her with surprise. "Do you really think I care about that? Nia, meeting you, even through a wrong number text, was the best thing that's happened to me in years." "But your life was so peaceful before," she pressed. "No drama, no ex-husbands causing trouble, no reporters, and no yellow kitchens, no board game nights, no garlic bread made by a sarcastic teenager," Ethan countered with a smile. "No texts that make me laugh in the middle of boring meetings, no feeling like I'm part of something real again." His words warmed Nia's heart, but she still worried. "The article tomorrow will be a blip," Ethan assured her. "A day or two of gossip, then people will move on to something else. And if they don't," he shrugged, "we'll handle it. Together." "Together," Nia echoed, liking the sound of the word. "That has a nice ring to it." "Very nice," Ethan agreed, leaning over to kiss her softly. "Gross," Lila called from the table, though her tone was teasing. "Get a room." "This is my room," Nia shot back with a laugh. "My whole apartment, in fact." "Details," Lila said, waving her hand dismissively. The next morning, Sunday, Nia woke to the sound of her phone buzzing incessantly. Messages from colleagues, friends, even parents of students, all asking about the Chronicle article. With a sigh, she opened the online edition and found the story prominently featured. Exclusive. Reclusive CEO Ethan Rourke's new love. The photos weren't as bad as she'd feared. Mostly shots of Ethan entering her building, and one slightly blurry image of their goodnight kiss in the hallway. The article itself was fairly tame, largely due to Ethan's simple statement, which was quoted in full. There were a few dramatic flourishes, the divorced schoolteacher who captured the city's most eligible bachelor, and the text message that changed everything. But overall, it could have been much worse. By the time Lila woke up, Nia had responded to the most important messages and was making coffee in the kitchen. "So how bad is it?" Lila asked, grabbing her phone to check. "Not terrible," Nia admitted. Ethan's statement helped keep it factual. Lila skimmed the article, making faces at certain phrases. "At least they didn't mention me by name, just that you have a teenage daughter." "Small mercies," Nia nodded. Her phone rang again, Ethan this time. "Good morning," she answered. "Seen the article?" "Unfortunately," he replied, though he didn't sound too upset. "How are you holding up?" "Better than expected," Nia said honestly. It's strange to see my life turned into a headline, but it could have been much worse. That's what my PR team said, Ethan agreed. They think it'll blow over quickly since we didn't give them any drama to work with. Speaking of drama, Nia said, are we still on for the art exhibition today, or would you rather lay low until this dies down? Absolutely still on, Ethan said firmly, unless you'd rather not be seen in public right now. I refuse to hide, Nia decided. Let's go see some art. The three of us, just as planned. When Ethan arrived to pick them up, he brought coffees and pastries from a local bakery. Thought we might need fortification before facing the world, he explained. Smart man, Lila approved, claiming the largest cinnamon roll. The art exhibition was busy but not crowded. A few people gave them curious looks. Clearly, some had seen the article, but no one approached them or made a scene. By the time they moved to the second gallery, Nia found herself relaxing, enjoying the artwork and the company. Lila wandered ahead, absorbed in a series of abstract paintings, while Nia and Ethan lingered in front of a landscape. Thank you, Nia said quietly. For what? Ethan asked. For handling all of this so well. The Richard drama, the article, all of it. Ethan smiled. It's not exactly what I expected when I responded to your wrong number text, but I wouldn't change a thing. Really? Nia raised an eyebrow. Not even the part where my ex-husband tried to sabotage us before we'd even properly started dating. Well, maybe that part, Ethan conceded with a laugh. But everything else, the texts, the meals, getting to know you and Lila? No, I wouldn't change any of that. As they moved through the exhibition, Nia reflected on how much her life had changed in just a few short weeks. From the lonely night, sitting on a moving box in her new apartment, to now, walking through an art gallery with a man who made her feel seen and valued, while her daughter explored the exhibits nearby. All because of one wrong number. Penny, for your thoughts? Ethan asked, noticing her pensive expression. I was just thinking about chance, Nia replied. How one small mistake, typing the wrong number, changed everything. Some might call it fate, Ethan suggested. Maybe, Nia smiled. Or maybe sometimes the wrong number turns out to be exactly the right one. After the exhibition, they had lunch at a small cafe nearby, then spent the afternoon walking through the park. It was an ordinary Sunday in many ways, the kind of day families across the city were enjoying together. But for Nia, it felt extraordinary. By the time Ethan dropped them back at their apartment that evening, the Chronicle article had already been pushed down on the website by newer stories. Their 15 minutes of fame appeared to be coming to an end. Crisis averted, Ethan asked as they stood in the hallway outside Nia's door. Seems like it, Nia nodded. My phone stopped buzzing around lunchtime. Same here, Ethan confirmed. Barbara says the office phone had a few calls this morning, but nothing since then. Apparently, a celebrity couple announced their divorce, and we're yesterday's news. Thank goodness for celebrity divorces, Nia laughed. Never thought I'd say that, Ethan agreed with a grin. Lila had already gone inside, tactfully giving them a moment alone. So what now? Nia asked softly. Now, Ethan said, taking her hands in his, we go back to what we were doing before all this drama. Getting to know each other, sharing meals, sending texts that make each other smile. That sounds perfect, Nia said. And maybe, Ethan continued, in a few weeks, when things have settled down, you and Lila might come see my apartment. I've been thinking it could use some color. Maybe yellow. Yellow is good, Nia smiled. Brings warmth to a space. That's what I need, Ethan nodded. More warmth, more life, more you. He leaned down and kissed her. Not a goodbye kiss this time, but a promise of more to come. Good night, Nia, he said softly. Good night, Ethan, she replied. I'll text you later. I'll be waiting by my phone, he promised with a smile. As Nia closed the door behind her, she found Lila waiting on the couch, pretending to be engrossed in her phone. So, Lila said casually, he seems pretty serious about you. You think? Nia asked, hanging up her jacket. Mum, he just spent an entire day being photographed and gossiped about, and he's still here, Lila pointed out. Plus, the way he looks. At you? Definitely serious. Nia sat down beside her daughter, a mixture of happiness and uncertainty washing over her. It's all happening so fast. Sometimes that's how it works, Lila shrugged. When it's right, it's right. When did you get so wise about relationships? Nia asked, bumping her shoulder against Lila's. Therapy, Lila grinned. Worth every penny of Dad's money. Later that night, as Nia got ready for bed, her phone chimed with a text from Ethan. Just wanted to say goodnight again. Today was perfect, article drama and all. Looking forward to more ordinary Sundays with you and Lila. Nia smiled as she typed her reply. Ordinary Sundays sound wonderful, though nothing has felt ordinary since that first text message, in the best possible way. His response came quickly. Best wrong number ever. Nia set her phone on the nightstand and turned out the light, her heart full of hope for the first time in years. She thought about the text that had started it all, a simple dinner invitation meant for Claire that had landed instead on the phone of a lonely CEO. 6 weeks ago, she would never have imagined that a wrong number could lead to all this. To laughter in her kitchen, to yellow flowers on her table, to a man who listened when she spoke and remembered what mattered to her. Life had a funny way of sending messages when you needed them most. Sometimes they came from unexpected places, even from a wrong number that turned out to be exactly right. 3 months Laternia stood in the kitchen of Ethan's penthouse, arranging a bouquet of yellow tulips in the center of the dining table. The large windows offered a stunning view of the city skyline, but her attention was on the man at the stove, carefully flipping pancakes while explaining the technique to Lila. The key is to wait for the bubbles to form on top before you flip, Ethan was saying. See, just like that. You're weirdly good at this for a CEO, Lila observed, attempting to flip her own pancake with mixed results. My grandfather taught me, Ethan explained. Sunday pancakes were a tradition at the diner. Said you could tell a lot about a person by how they make a pancake. What does mine say about me? Lila asked, looking at her misshapen creation. That you're bold, Ethan grinned. Not afraid to take risks. Nice save, Lila laughed. Nia watched them with a smile, still amazed by how seamlessly Ethan had integrated into their lives. After the drama with Richard and the newspaper article had died down, things had fallen into a comfortable rhythm. Weeknight dinners at her apartment, weekend brunches at his penthouse, texts throughout the day that made her smile in the middle of teaching fractions. The penthouse itself had transformed. Over the past months, what had once been a sleek, impersonal space now held touches of warmth everywhere. Colorful throw pillows Lila had picked out, family photos on the shelves, a yellow accent wall in the living room that brightened the entire space. Earth to... Mom, Lila called, breaking into her thoughts. Pancakes are ready. They gathered around the table, not the formal dining room table that had rarely been used before they came into Ethan's life, but a smaller, more intimate one he'd placed near the kitchen windows. I have something I want to talk to you both about, Ethan said as they settled in with their breakfast. Something important. Nia and Lila exchanged glances. Sounds serious, Nia commented, trying to keep her tone light despite the sudden flutter of nerves in her stomach. It is, Ethan nodded. In a good way, I hope. He took a deep breath before continuing. My lease on this penthouse is ending next month. Oh, Nia said, not sure where this was going. Are you planning to renew it? That depends, Ethan said carefully. The thing is, I've been thinking about finding a place that feels more like a home. Something with a yard, maybe. More space. That sounds nice, Nia said, still uncertain. And, Ethan continued, his eyes meeting hers, I was hoping you two might consider moving in with me, both of you. The kitchen fell silent. Lila's fork paused halfway to her mouth. You want us to live together, Nia clarified, her heart racing. The three of us? Yes, Ethan confirmed. I know it's a big step. And Lila, I want you to know that your opinion matters just as much as your mom's here. This would be a home for all of us. Lila looked thoughtful. Would I get to pick my own room and decorate it how I want? Absolutely, Ethan nodded. Any room you want, any color paint, within reason, he added with a glance at Nia. And what about when I go to college next year? Lila asked. Would it still be my home to come back to? Always, Ethan said firmly. That's the whole point, a home for all of us for the long term. Nia felt tears pricking at the corners of her eyes. Ethan, are you sure about this? We come with a lot of stuff, physical and emotional. I've never been more sure of anything, he said, reaching across the table to take her hand. My life. Before you two was all work, empty rooms and silent meals. Now it's full of color and noise and life. I don't want to go back to the way things were. Lila looked at her mother. What do you think, Mom? Nia took a deep breath, considering. The logical part of her brain said it was too soon, too fast. But her heart reminded her of all the ways Ethan had shown his commitment over these months, in big gestures and small daily kindnesses. I think, she said slowly, that home isn't about the place. It's about the people you share it with. Is that a yes? Ethan asked, hope evident in his voice. Nia looked at Lila, who gave a small nod of approval. It's a yes, Nia confirmed. Let's find a home together. Ethan's face broke into a wide smile. You've just made me the happiest man in the city. Pretty sure my dad is going to lose it when he hears, Lila commented, though she was smiling. Too. But who cares? This is our life, not his. Speaking of your dad, Ethan said, I wanted to be clear that I'm not trying to replace him, Lila. I know that's not my place. Trust me, you couldn't replace him if you tried, Lila said dryly. But that's a good thing. I already have one, Dad. What I never had before was an Ethan. The simple statement touched both adults deeply. Later, as they cleaned up breakfast together, Ethan pulled Nia aside. There's one more thing, he said, reaching into his pocket. I was going to wait, but, well, now seems right. He pulled out a small velvet box. Ethan, Nia breathed, her heart skipping. It's not what you think, he said quickly, opening the box to reveal not a ring, but a key. At least not yet. It's a key to the penthouse, so you and Lila can come and go as you please until we find our new place. A symbolic first step. It's perfect, Nia said, taking the key. One step at a time. Exactly, Ethan nodded. We have all the time in the world now. As he leaned down to kiss her, Nia's phone chimed with a text. It was Claire. So, moving in, with Mr. Wonderful. Lila just told me, about time. Nia laughed, showing Ethan the message. News travels fast. Are you okay with that? He asked. People knowing? Talking? I'm getting used to it, Nia smiled. Turns out when the news is good, I don't mind sharing it. That evening, as they sat on Ethan's balcony watching the sunset, Lila inside working on a school project, Nia rested her head on Ethan's shoulder. I need to ask you something, she said. Something I've been wondering about. Anything, Ethan prompted. That first night when you got my wrong number text, why did you reply? You could have just ignored it. Most people would have. Ethan was quiet for a moment, considering. I was having a particularly bad day, he finally said. The anniversary of my brother's death. I'd been sitting alone in this empty apartment, wondering what the point of all. This success was if I had no one to share it with. He sighed, then continued. And then your text came through. So simple, so normal. Dinner for two, you bring wine. It was like a glimpse into a different life, a life with connection, with someone waiting for a shared meal. I couldn't bring myself to ignore it. So you offered butter chicken instead, Nia smiled. It was impulsive, Ethan admitted. I half expected you to block my number immediately. When you replied the next day about the wine, it felt like, I don't know, like maybe the universe was giving me another chance at what matters. The universe, Nia mused, or just my poor typing skills. Either way, Ethan said, pulling her closer. I'm grateful. For wrong numbers, for yellow paint, for second chances. Me too, Nia whispered, for all of it. As the last light of day faded from the sky, Nia thought about the winding path that had led her here. The pain of her marriage ending, the struggle to rebuild, the uncertain new beginning in that small yellow kitchen. And then a single missent text that had changed everything. Life rarely went according to plan. Sometimes it fell apart completely. But life rarely went according to plan. Sometimes it fell apart completely. But sometimes a wrong turn led to exactly the right destination. 6 months after that conversation on the balcony, Nia stood in the kitchen of their new home, a charming 2-story house with a small backyard and enough room for all of them. The yellow walls of the kitchen glowed in the morning sunlight, reminding her of that first tiny apartment where it all began. She was packing Lila's lunch for school when her phone chimed with a text from Ethan, who had left early for a meeting. Dinner tonight, 7 p.m. I'll bring wine this time, Nia smiled, remembering how this journey had started with a similar message sent to the wrong number. She typed back, "Perfect. I'll save you a seat at our table." Sometimes the most important messages in life came from unexpected places, and sometimes by pure chance or fate or whatever you might call it, they landed exactly where they were meant to be all along. Nia placed Lila's lunch in her backpack and called upstairs, "Time for school. Honey, don't forget your art portfolio." As she waited by the front door, Nia glanced at the framed text message on the wall, a gift from Ethan on their 6-month anniversary. It showed that first exchange between them, printed and framed, made it. "New address, 203 West Hill Street, App 3B, dinner for 2. You bring wine? I'm not your friend. But if you'll accept flowers and takeout, I know a place that does magic with butter chicken." Below the exchange, Ethan had added an inscription, "The wrong number that led me home." Lila came thundering down the stairs, art portfolio in hand. "Ready," she announced. As they headed out to the car, Nia's phone chimed with another text from Ethan. "Also, I may have forgotten to mention, I have a surprise for tonight, something important to ask you." Nia's heart skipped a beat as she read the message. After all they'd been through together, after building this new life, she had a feeling she knew what the question might be. And she already knew her answer. Some wrong numbers turned out to be exactly right. The end.